The stars looked different through the window of the horizon's edge. Commander Minho Kang stood on the bridge watching the endless darkness filled with tiny points of light. Earth was millions of miles behind them now. Ahead was only the unknown. Minho was 42 years old. His face showed the scars of Earth's last war. He had fought in the Unification Wars, where millions died before humanity finally stopped fighting itself. Those battles taught him one thing: the strong survive, the weak disappear. Now leading humanity's first deep space colony ship, he believed the same rule applied to the galaxy. "Commander, we're approaching Eden 7, said pilot Junho Kim. The young man was only 26 but flew the massive ship like it was part of his body. His fingers danced across the controls with confidence that bordered on arrogance. Eden 7 was perfect. Scans showed breathable air, liquid water, and no signs of intelligent life. It would be humanity's first home beyond the solar system. Dr. Yuna Park couldn't hide her excitement as she studied the data. "It's beautiful," Yuna whispered. She was 35, with kind eyes that still believed the universe was good. "We could build a real civilization here. No more wars, no more pollution. A fresh start." Minho wanted to believe her, but 20 years of military service had killed his optimism. "Run full security scans," he ordered. "I want to know everything about this planet before we land." Engineer Bora Han worked at her station checking the ship's systems. She was 38 and had designed most of the horizon's edge herself. She trusted machines more than people. Machines were predictable. People disappointed you. "All systems green," Bora reported. "We're ready to establish orbit." That's when everything changed. Alarms screamed across the bridge. Lieutenant Taeyong Lee jumped from his weapons station. "Contacts!" Multiple ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel. "They're surrounding us." Taeyong was 29 and had grown up as an orphan after alien pirates destroyed his family's transport ship. He had joined the military to fight back against any threat from space. His finger hovered over the weapons controls, ready. "Hold fire," Minho commanded, though his heart raced. On the main screen, enormous vessels appeared. They were massive, each one 10 times larger than the horizon's edge. Their designs were strange, organic, nothing like human engineering. A transmission came through. The face that appeared was not human. Scales covered its reptilian features. Eyes without pupils stared at them. When it spoke, a translation device turned its words into perfect English. "I am Ambassador Velnar of the Galactic Council. We have been watching your species for 300 of your years. You are not welcome here." Silence filled the bridge. Yuna recovered first. "Ambassador, we come in peace. We only want to build a new home." "We mean no harm to anyone." Velnar's expression didn't change. "Your intentions are irrelevant. Your history speaks clearly. In your last 500 years, you have fought over 15,000 wars. You have destroyed countless species on your own planet. You poison your world while claiming to love it. You are violent, aggressive, and dangerous. That's our past," Yuna argued. "We've changed. We unified. We stopped the wars." "You unified by conquering," Velnar replied. "Your peace came through violence. The Galactic Council has seen species like yours before. You spread like disease. You take what you want. You destroy what you cannot take. We will not allow it." The ambassador's image expanded, showing images from Earth's history. Nuclear explosions, burning cities, mass graves, polluted oceans. Every dark moment of humanity's past displayed for them to see. "This is what you are," Velnar said. "The Council has made its decision. You will return to your solar system immediately. You will cease all expansion beyond your home. If you attempt to leave again, you will be stopped by force. This is your only warning." The transmission ended. The alien ships remained waiting. Minho turned to his crew. He saw fear in some faces, anger in others. Taeyong looked ready to fight. Bora was already calculating their chances. Junho gripped the controls tight. Yuna looked heartbroken. "What do we do?" Junho asked quietly. Yuna spoke up. "We should listen. They have the technology advantage. They know things we don't. Maybe they're trying to protect us from something." "Protect us?" Taeyong spat. "They're threatening us. They're telling us to stay in our cage like animals. They're telling us we're not ready," Yuna countered. "Maybe they're right. We've only had peace for 50 years. Before that, we nearly destroyed ourselves." Bora's voice cut through the argument. "It doesn't matter what they think. If we go back now, we'll never leave the solar system. They'll always have this hanging over us. We'll be prisoners in our own home." All eyes turned to Minho. The decision was his. He thought about Earth, overcrowded and resource-starved. He thought about humanity's future, trapped in one tiny corner of an infinite galaxy. He thought about every war he'd fought, every life he'd lost, all to ensure humanity's survival. We didn't crawl out of caves to be told we're not good enough, Minho said slowly. We didn't survive ice ages and plagues and wars to give up our future because some aliens are scared of us. Yes, we're violent. Yes, we're aggressive. But we're also survivors. We adapt, we overcome. That's what makes us human. He stood straighter, his decision made. We're not going back. We're landing on Eden 7. We're building our colony. And if the Council has a problem with that, they can try to stop us. Yuna's face went pale. Minho, this is insane. We can't fight them. Their ships alone could destroy us in seconds. We're not fighting, Minho replied. We're calling their bluff. The Council had 300 years to stop us. They waited until now. They gave us a warning instead of just destroying us. That means they have rules, bureaucracy, politics. They won't start a war over one colony ship. It would set a precedent they can't afford. Bora nodded slowly. He's right. If they wanted us dead, we'd already be dead. They're trying to scare us. Junho, Minho ordered. Take us down to Eden 7. Taeyong, keep weapons ready, but don't fire unless fired upon. Bora, prepare the colony equipment. Yuna, start analyzing the planet for the best settlement location. Nobody moved. The weight of the decision pressed down on everyone. That's an order, Minho said firmly. Slowly, the crew returned to their stations. Junho's hand shook slightly as he plotted a course to the planet. The alien ships remained in position, watching, waiting to see what humanity would do. The Horizon's Edge began its descent toward Eden 7. The Council ships did not attack. They simply watched, and Minho knew this was just the beginning. 2 weeks later, New Sol stood on Eden 7's surface. Prefabricated buildings formed neat rows. Gardens were planted. Children played in alien dirt under an alien sun. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Minho stood at the colony's edge, looking up at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Council was watching, planning, deciding what to do about the humans who refused to obey. Yuna approached quietly. I hope you're right about this, she said. I hope we didn't just doom our species. We were already doomed if we went back, Minho replied. Trapped forever in one system, always afraid, always looking over our shoulders. That's not living. That's just surviving. There's a difference? Mio smiled grimly. There is for humans. 3 more human ships arrived within the month. Then 5 more. Then 20. News of New Sol spread across Earth like wildfire. Humanity's first successful colony beyond the solar system. The Council's warning had only made people more determined to leave. The Council responded with blockades. They cut off trade routes that didn't exist yet. They warned other species not to help humans. They issued formal declarations and legal orders, but they didn't attack. And in that hesitation, Minho saw weakness. They're afraid of us, he told his command staff one evening. Not afraid we'll win. Afraid of what it means if they have to destroy us. It would prove we were right about them, that they're not the wise, peaceful council they claim to be. They're just another empire protecting their territory. So what do we do? Taeyong asked. Minho looked at the map of human colonies now scattered across 3 star systems. We keep expanding. We keep building, and we prepare for the day the council decides talking isn't enough. That day would come sooner than anyone expected. 5 years changed everything. New Sol was now a thriving city of 50,000 people. Farms covered the valleys. Factories hummed with production. Children born on Eden 7 played in the streets, the first generation who would never see Earth with their own eyes. But beyond the peaceful surface, humanity was at war. Not the kind of war with big battles and clear front lines. This was a shadow war. Human ships appeared and disappeared like ghosts, hitting council supply convoys and vanishing before reinforcements arrived. Engineer Borahan had cracked the council's jump drive technology, stolen from a damaged ship 3 years ago. Now human vessels could travel faster and farther than ever before. Pilot Junho Kim stood in the briefing room of the stealth carrier Freedom's Price. He was 31 now, with dark circles under his eyes from too many combat missions. Around him sat 19 other pilots, the survivors of what used to be a squadron of 50. Today's target is a council supply station, Junho said, pointing at the holographic display. It's defended by 30 patrol ships and automated defenses. Our job is to destroy their fuel reserves and get out before their heavy cruisers arrive. One of the younger pilots raised her hand. Sir, that's suicide. 30 ships against 20? 30 ships that don't expect us, Junho corrected. The council thinks in predictable patterns. They post guards and assume that's enough. We don't fight fair. We hit hard, we hit fast, and we leave them wondering what happened. The mission went exactly as planned. The Ghost Fleet, as they now called themselves, appeared without warning. They fired guided missiles at the fuel depot, while their jammers confused the council's sensors. By the time the defenders organized a response, the depot was already exploding. The human ships disappeared into faster-than-light travel, leaving only destruction behind. Back on New Seoul, Commander Minho Kang watched the mission report with satisfaction. On his desk lay similar reports from 40 other raids this month. The council was bleeding resources. Their trade routes were disrupted. Their military was spread thin, trying to guard everything. We're winning, said Lieutenant Tae-Young Lee. He'd been promoted to commander last year after destroying 3 council warships in the Battle of Red Dust. They can't keep up with us. Minho wasn't so sure. We're surviving. That's not the same as winning. A message came through from Earth. Admiral Hyejin Choi appeared on the screen. She was 56 with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. As commander of Earth's defense fleet, she coordinated all human military operations across 3 star systems. Minho, we have a problem, Hyejin said without greeting. The council is building something. We don't know what it is yet, but it's big. They're pulling ships from all over to protect it. Where? Minho asked. The Nexus sector. They're calling it Nexus Station. Our intelligence suggests it's a massive military base. Once it's operational, they'll use it as a staging ground to wipe us out. Tae-Young leaned forward. Then we hit it before it's finished. With what? Hyejin replied. They have 200 ships guarding it. We'd need to throw everything we have at it, and we'd still probably lose. Minho studied the tactical display. The numbers were bad, really bad. But if they let the council finish that station, the war was over. Humanity would be crushed. We'll do it, Minho decided, but not with ships alone. Bora, can you get me inside their security systems? Engineer Bora Han looked up from her terminal. She was grayer now, more tired. The last 5 years had aged everyone. I can try, but I'll need access to one of their command networks first. Then we give you access, Minho said. Tae-Young, you're leading a boarding party. Get us a council command ship. The mission to capture a council ship took 3 weeks of planning. They ambushed a patrol near an asteroid field. Tae-Young led, 20 Marines in boarding pods cutting through the hull with plasma torches. The council crew fought back, but they weren't prepared for human close-quarters combat. Humans fought dirty, using every trick from centuries of warfare. They captured the ship and brought it back to New Seoul. Bora spent 2 days breaking into its systems. What she found changed everything. Dr. Yuna Park stood in Bora's lab reading the translated files with growing horror. This can't be right, she whispered. It's all there, Bora said quietly. The council wasn't trying to suppress us. They were trying to protect us. The files told a story. Thousands of years ago, something had swept through the galaxy. The council called them the Devourers. They consumed entire civilizations, turning planets into dead husks. The council survived by hiding, by staying quiet, by not attracting attention. And now humanity, with its loud quantum drives and aggressive expansion, was making noise across the stars. They thought we'd wake them up, Yuna said. The Devourers. That's why they wanted us to stay in the solar system. Bora nodded. The warning wasn't about controlling us. It was about survival. For everyone. Yuna rushed to find Minho. He was in the command center planning the attack on Nexus Station. She burst in without knocking. Minho, we need to stop. We need to talk to the council. They weren't trying to cage us. They were trying to save us. She explained everything she'd learned. Minho listened in silence. When she finished, he shook his head. It doesn't matter, he said. Doesn't matter? Yuna couldn't believe what she was hearing. Minho, there's an ancient threat out there. We might have woken it up. We need to work with the Council, not fight them. The Council had 300 years to tell us the truth, Minho replied. Instead, they showed up with threats and ultimatums. They treated us like children too stupid to understand. Even if their reasons were good, their methods were wrong. So you'll risk waking up something that destroyed civilizations? I'll risk everything to make sure humanity is free, Minho said firmly. If these devourers exist, we'll deal with them. Together with the Council if they'll have us. But as equals, not as pets they can lock away. Yuna saw the determination in his eyes. Nothing would change his mind. Then I hope you're ready for what comes next, she said quietly, and left. The attack on Nexus Station happened 2 weeks later. 12 human ships against 200 Council vessels. The odds were impossible. But Minho had one advantage the Council didn't understand. Humans didn't fight to win. They fought to survive. And survival meant doing whatever it took. As the human fleet approached Nexus Station, they broadcast something the Council had never heard before. Music. War anthems from human history. Songs of battles and sacrifice and victory against impossible odds. They showed images of human soldiers throughout time, fighting and dying for their homes. The psychological warfare worked. The Council crews were scientists and bureaucrats playing soldier. Humans were soldiers pretending to be civilized. When the battle started, it showed. Yunho's ghost fleet led the attack, their small ships darting between the larger Council vessels. Taeyong led boarding parties that took control of key defensive platforms. Bora's hacked systems caused chaos, shutting down shields and weapons at critical moments. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, Nexus Station was in human hands. The Council fleet had retreated. Humanity had won its first major victory, but the celebration was short. As Minho stood on the captured station, looking at the stars, alarms began to sound. New signals appeared on the long-range sensors, hundreds of them, coming from the edge of the galaxy. Something was coming, something big, something that had been sleeping for a very long time. An old Council officer, captured during the battle, looked at the sensor readings and went pale. "What is it?" Minho demanded. The officer's voice shook. "The Devourers. Your quantum drives woke them up. They're coming." Minho felt his blood run cold. He'd won the battle. But at what cost? Across the galaxy, the Council's worst nightmare was becoming reality. And humanity, with all its courage and stubbornness and refusal to quit, had made it happen. The first colony died in minutes. Outpost 7, a Council research station with 3,000 scientists, simply stopped transmitting. When the rescue ships arrived, they found nothing. No buildings, no bodies. Just bare rock where a thriving settlement had stood hours before. The second colony sent a brief distress call before going silent. The message was only 4 words. "They're eating everything." By the time anyone understood what was happening, 12 more colonies had vanished. The Devourers had returned. New Seoul Commander Minho Kang watched the reports with growing dread. The Devourers weren't like any enemy humanity had faced before. They didn't have ships in the traditional sense. They were ships, massive biomechanical creatures that moved through space like living things. They landed on planets and consumed everything, converting matter into more of themselves. Dr. Yuna Park stood beside him, her face pale. This is what the Council was afraid of. This is why they wanted us to stay quiet. "I know," Minho said quietly. For once, he had no clever reply. A message came through on emergency channels. Ambassador Velnar appeared on the screen. The reptilian diplomat looked older, more tired. His scales had lost their shine. "Commander Kang," Velnar said. "The Galactic Council requests humanity's immediate assistance. We are facing extinction. We need your help." The words hung in the air. 5 years ago, this same ambassador had told humanity to stay home or be destroyed. Now he was begging for help. Taeyong laughed bitterly. Now they need us. After everything they did, they come crawling back. "Let them burn." suggested one of the other officers. They made their choice when they threatened us. Minho raised his hand for silence. Ambassador, why should we help you? You told us we were too dangerous to be trusted. You tried to lock us in our own system. You fought us when we refused. Velnar didn't look away. You are right to be angry. We made mistakes. We treated you like children instead of equals. We see that now. But if you let the Devourers destroy us, they will destroy you next. We can argue about the past after we survive the present. What can we offer that you can't do yourselves? Minho asked. Experience, Velnar replied simply. The council species have lived in peace for thousands of years. We study war, but we don't understand it. Not like you. Humans have fought constantly. You know how to adapt, how to survive impossible odds. The Devourers are winning because we don't know how to fight them. You do. Admiral Hyojin Choi joined the call from Earth. What are you offering in return? Full council membership, Velnar said. Equal voting rights. Access to all our technology. An end to the blockades and restrictions. Everything you wanted from the beginning. After we save you, Hyojin noted. Yes, Velnar admitted. We cannot promise what we will no longer exist to give. Minho looked at his officers. Taeyong still looked angry. Engineer Borahan was already pulling up tactical data on the Devourers. Pilot Junho Kim had that focused look he got before combat. Dr. Yuna Park met his eyes and nodded. We'll help, Minho decided. But we do this our way. No council oversight, no committees. You give us full tactical control. Agreed, Velnar said immediately. What do you need? Everything, Admiral Hyojin replied. Every ship you have, every weapon, every resource. And most importantly, get out of our way and let us work. The next week was chaos. Human military advisors flooded council command centers. Human tactics replaced council strategies. The change was shocking. Where the council tried to defend everything, humans chose what to sacrifice. Where the council retreated to regroup, humans counterattacked. Where the council followed procedures, humans improvised. It wasn't always pretty. Many council officers were horrified by human methods. Humans would sacrifice entire fleets to buy time. They would abandon colonies to save others. They fought with a ruthless efficiency that seemed cruel. But it worked. Slowly, the tide began to turn. The Devourers' advance slowed. Human forces learned their patterns, found their weaknesses. Array developed weapons specifically designed to penetrate their bioarmor. Junho's pilots discovered that Devourers had blind spots in their sensory systems. Still, it wasn't enough. The Devourers kept coming. For every one destroyed, 3 more appeared. They were adapting too, learning from each encounter. On Earth, scientist Daeho Yoon worked in his underground laboratory. He was 44 with wild hair and exhausted eyes. For 3 years he had led Project Prometheus, humanity's secret weapons program. The council didn't know it existed. Nobody did except a handful of people. Now, Daeho had created something terrible. This could destroy us all, he told Admiral Hyojin when he presented his work. Not just the Devourers. Everything. If we use this wrong, we could tear holes in space that never close. What is it? Hyojin asked. Weaponized black holes, Daeho explained. We can create tiny singularities that rip through anything. The Devourer's bioarmor won't matter. But the energy required is enormous. And if the containment fails, the black hole won't stop growing. Hyojin studied the data. Can it stop them? Maybe. If we can hit their main swarm. Intelligence suggests they have some kind of central coordination. Kill that and the rest might become disorganized. Then build it, Hyojin ordered. Admiral, I don't think you understand. This weapon could... I understand perfectly, Hyojin interrupted. It's dangerous, it's risky. It might backfire. But right now we're losing. The Devourers consume 3 colonies a day. In 2 months they'll reach the core systems. In 4 months they'll reach Earth. So yes, build your weapon. We'll worry about the consequences after we survive. Dr. Yuna Park disagreed strongly. She confronted Minho in his office on New Sol. This is insane. We're talking about weapons that could destroy entire star systems. There has to be another way. What other way? Minho asked tiredly. We've been fighting for months. We're barely holding them back. Every day we lose more people, more colonies, more hope. So we become monsters to fight monsters? Yuna challenged. That's the Council's worst fear. They said we were too dangerous, and now we're proving them right. They were wrong to cage us, Minho replied. But they were right that we're dangerous. The difference is we're dangerous to our enemies, not to those we protect. The galaxy needs to understand that. And if the weapon fails? If it destroys us instead? Minho looked at her steadily. Then at least we went down fighting on our own terms. I'd rather die free than live as prisoners, wondering what we could have been. The debate raged across human space. Some agreed with Minho and Hyejin. Others sided with Yuna. But while they argued, Daiho built his weapon, and the Devourers kept coming. Finally, intelligence located the Devourers' central hive. It was massive, the size of a small moon, hidden in a nebula near the galactic rim. Around it swarmed thousands of the smaller Devourer forms. We have one shot at this, Admiral Hyejin told the assembled commanders. We need to get the weapon close enough to deploy. That means fighting through their entire swarm. How many ships? Asked a council admiral. All of them, Hyejin replied. Every ship we have. This is everything. If we fail, there's no backup plan. And who delivers the weapon? Minho asked, though he already knew the answer. Someone has to fly it directly into the hive, Daiho said quietly. The deployment is manual. There's no remote option. Whoever goes won't come back. Silence filled the room. Then pilot Junho Kim stood up. I'll do it. Junho, no, Minho started. I'm the best pilot we have, Junho said simply. I've got the highest chance of getting through. And I've been living on borrowed time since this war started. Let me make it count. I'm going with him, Taeyong added. Someone needs to lead the escort fleet, make sure he gets there. And I'll install the weapon myself, Bora said. Nobody else understands the systems well enough. Minho looked at 3 of his oldest friends. 3 people who had been with him since the beginning. He wanted to order them to stay. He wanted to find another way, but he knew there wasn't one. Then make it count, he said, his voice rough with emotion. Make them pay for every second. Show the galaxy what humanity means. The mission fleet prepared to launch. Cunyo stood in the hangar looking at his fighter one last time. Dr. Yuna Park found him there. I wish there was another way, she said softly. There isn't, Junho replied. And that's okay. Someone has to pay the price. Might as well be someone who's good at it. He smiled at her, that cocky smile from years ago. Besides, I always wanted to see what was at the edge of the galaxy. Now I get to be the first. The fleet launched into the darkness, heading toward the hive, toward victory or death. For humanity, they were often the same thing. 50 years later, Commander Minho Kang was 92 now. His hair was white, his face deeply lined. He moved slower than he once did, but his eyes were still sharp, still watching, still calculating. He stood on the observation deck of the colony ship New Horizon. Around him, young humans and aliens worked side by side. A human engineer helped a Drax technician fix a power conduit. A Lumina scientist discussed quantum physics with a human graduate student. It was so normal now that nobody even noticed. 50 years ago, this would have been impossible. Now it was just another Tuesday. A young council diplomat approached. She was from a species called the Vereen, butterfly-like beings who had joined the council only 20 years ago. She had never known a galaxy at war. Commander Kang? She asked hesitantly. I'm writing a thesis on the Devourer War. May I ask you some questions? Minho smiled. Students had been asking him questions for decades. He never said no. Of course, and was it worth it? The diplomat asked. The same question everyone wanted answered. The war, the deaths, everything that happened. Looking back now, was it worth the price? Minho looked out at the stars. He'd been asked this question 1,000 times. He still didn't have a simple answer. Let me tell you what happened, he said. Then you decide. After the war, humanity spread across the galaxy. Human colonies now existed in every sector. Human culture mixed with alien cultures, creating something new. Human military tactics became standard training across council forces. Human stubbornness became legendary. But it wasn't conquest. It was integration. Humans learned from the council too. Lumina meditation practices helped humans deal with stress. Drax engineering improved human ship designs. Hive collective thinking enhanced human organizational structures. The council feared we'd take over, Minho explained. That we'd dominate through force. They were wrong. We changed them, yes. But they changed us too. That's what happens when different species actually work together instead of just tolerating each other. But 40,000 humans died, the diplomat said, plus millions of council citizens. That's a heavy price. It is, Minho agreed. I think about them every day. Especially 3 of them. He told her about Junho Kim, the cocky pilot who flew into certain death with a smile. About Taeyong Lee, who used his dying ship to protect others. About Bora Han, who lost everything but kept fighting anyway. They're legends now, the diplomat said. Every species knows their names. They teach their story in schools across the galaxy. Good, Minho said. They should be remembered. Not just as heroes, but as reminders. Reminders of what freedom costs, what survival demands, what it means to refuse to give up, even when everything seems hopeless. The memorial on New Sol had become the most visited site in human space. 40,000 names carved in stone. But it wasn't just humans who visited. Everyday beings from across the galaxy came to pay respects. To remember, to understand. Dr. Yuna Park, now Ambassador Emeritus at age 85, spent most of her time there. She guided tours, answered questions, and made sure nobody forgot. The council thought they were protecting us. Yuna would tell visitors. They were right about the danger. But they were wrong about the solution. You can't protect someone by caging them. You can't save people by taking away their choices. Freedom means the freedom to fail. To make mistakes. To pay prices you didn't expect. She'd pause at Junho's name, touching the stone gently. But it also means the freedom to succeed beyond anyone's expectations. To prove yourself when everyone doubts you. To earn your place instead of being given it. The Galactic Council itself had changed. Human representatives pushed for reforms. Less bureaucracy. Faster decisions. More action, less debate. Not all species liked it, but they couldn't argue with results. When new threats emerged, the Council responded quickly. When species needed help, assistance arrived fast. The old Council would have spent months in committee meetings. The new Council, influenced by human efficiency, moved with purpose. We made them better, Admiral Heejin Choi said in her final interview before retiring. But they made us better too. That's the real price they paid for underestimating us. They had to admit we were equals, that we had something to teach them. That their way wasn't the only way. The young Vereen diplomat listened to all these stories. She studied the records, interviewed veterans, visited the memorials. Finally, she came back to Minho with her conclusion. I think I understand now, she said. The price wasn't worth it, but humanity didn't have a choice. You couldn't live as prisoners, even safe prisoners. You had to be free, even if freedom meant danger. Minho nodded slowly. That's closer to the truth than most people get. We didn't calculate the cost versus the benefit. We just refused to be caged. Everything else followed from that choice. And the council? The diplomat asked. What price did they really pay? Minho smiled. Pride, assumptions, the comfortable belief that they knew best. The council was ancient, wise, experienced. They looked at young, violent humanity and saw children who needed guidance. We forced them to see equals instead. That was the price, respect. Earned through blood and sacrifice and refusing to quit. Do you think they resent it? Some do, some always will. But most recognize what we brought. Energy, innovation, the willingness to take risks. Before humans, the council was stagnant. Safe but stagnant. Now, look around. The diplomat looked. She saw humans and aliens working together, laughing together, building a future together. Not just tolerating each other, but truly cooperating. The galaxy is alive again, Minho said. Growing, changing, evolving. That's what humans do best. We don't accept the status quo. We push, we challenge. We refuse to stay still. The council paid for that gift with their pride. We paid with our blood, and together we built something better than either of us could have made alone. The diplomat finished her thesis and graduated with honors. Her work became required reading across the galaxy. But she added one final section that surprised everyone. The question, was it worth it, assumes there was a choice, she wrote. But humanity never had a choice. Their nature demanded freedom. The Council's nature demanded order. The collision was inevitable. The Devourers simply accelerated what would have happened anyway. The real lesson isn't about the price paid. It's about what the price bought. Mutual respect. Genuine cooperation. A galaxy where different species don't just coexist but thrive together. That wasn't worth 40,000 lives. Nothing is. But those 40,000 died anyway, fighting for freedom and survival. The galaxy's duty now is to make their sacrifice mean something. Minho read the thesis and smiled. She understood. On his last day, Minho returned to the memorial one final time. He was 93, his body finally giving out. Doctors said he had weeks at most. He'd lived long enough to see his choices bear fruit. Long enough to know the galaxy had changed. Yuna met him there. She was 91, still sharp, still fighting for peace and understanding. "Do you regret it?" she asked quietly. Minho thought about it for a long time. "Every day," he finally said. "I regret every life lost. Every person who trusted me and died because of it. But I don't regret the choice. We had to be free. Had to prove ourselves. Had to earn our place, not be given it. Was the Council wrong to warn us? No. They were right about the danger. They were trying to protect everyone, including us. But they were wrong about the method. You can't protect people by taking away their freedom. You have to trust them to face danger and make their own choices, even if those choices lead to disaster." He placed his hand on Junho's name one last time. "The Council paid for underestimating us. They learned we weren't children to be controlled. We were equals to be respected. That lesson cost blood. But now the galaxy is better for it." Yuna took his hand. "The warning was ignored. And now look what we've built." They stood together in silence, two old warriors who'd seen the worst and survived to see the best. The sun set over New Sol, painting the sky in brilliant colors. Human children and alien children played in the streets below, not caring about species or history or ancient conflicts. That was the future Junho and Taeyong and Bora, and 40,000 others had died for. Not perfection. Not peace without cost, but a galaxy where different beings could live together, work together, build together. A galaxy where humanity had earned its place, not through conquest, but through sacrifice, where the Council had learned to respect not through fear but through shared struggle. The warning had been ignored. The price had been paid, and the galaxy would never be the same. Minho died 3 weeks later, peacefully in his sleep. His funeral was attended by representatives from every Council species. Former enemies stood beside old friends. They all came to honor the man who'd refused to be caged. Ambassador Velnar, now ancient himself, gave the eulogy. Commander Kang was impossible, stubborn, aggressive, everything we feared about humanity. But he was also loyal, brave, and willing to fight for what he believed. He forced us to see humans as equals. That was his gift to the galaxy. He will be missed. They buried him on New Sol, on the hill overlooking the memorial. His gravestone was simple. Commander Minho Kang, he refused to stay home. The galaxy is better for it. Yuna visited his grave often in the years that followed. She'd tell him about new discoveries, new alliances, new colonies. The journey to the hive took 3 days. 3 days of constant fighting. 3 days of watching ships die around them. Pilot Junho Kim flew like a man possessed. His fighter danced through the devourer swarm, dodging and weaving between massive bioships. Behind him, the escort fleet fought desperately to keep the path clear. Ships exploded left and right. The communications channel was filled with final messages and screams. On the second day, Commander Taeyong Lee's flagship took critical damage. Half his crew was dead. His engines were failing, but he kept fighting, using his dying ship as a shield for Junho's fighter. "Keep going," Taeyong shouted over the radio. "Don't stop for anything." A massive devourer turned toward Junho's fighter. Taeyong threw his ship directly into its path. The collision destroyed both vessels in a blinding flash. Junho flew through the explosion, not looking back. He couldn't afford to. Tears ran down his face, but his hands stayed steady on the controls. Engineer Borahan sat in the back of the fighter, making final adjustments to the weapon. Her daughter's picture was taped to the control panel. She'd carried it since the day the Devourers killed her family. "How much longer?" Junho asked. 2 minutes to the hive, Bora replied. Once we're close enough, I activate the weapon. Then you have 30 seconds to deploy it. And then? Then nothing, Bora said quietly. The black hole forms instantly. Nothing escapes. Not even us, Junho nodded. He'd known from the beginning. They all had. This was a one-way trip. The hive loomed ahead, massive and terrible. It pulsed with organic light, alive in ways that made no sense. Thousands of devourers swarmed around it like insects protecting their queen. The remaining escort ships threw themselves at the swarm, buying Junho precious seconds. He watched them die on his sensors, ships he'd flown with, friends he'd known for years, all sacrificing themselves so he could complete the mission. We're through, Junho shouted. Bora, activated! Bora's fingers flew over the controls. The weapon began to hum, building power, but something was wrong. Alarm shrieked. The containment field is failing, Bora said, her voice tight. We took too much damage. The weapon might explode before we deploy it. Can you fix it? Not from here. Someone needs to manually stabilize the core. They'd be exposed to direct radiation. Lethal dose in seconds, Junho didn't hesitate. Tell me what to do. Junho, no. You need to fly. I'll do it. You need to deploy the weapon. I can keep us on course with autopilot for 30 seconds. That's all we need. Bora started to argue, but she knew he was right. The access panel is behind your seat. Blue wire to the red terminal. That's all? Junho set the autopilot and crawled back. He opened the panel. Heat and radiation poured out, burning his skin instantly. He grabbed the wire with hands that were already blistering. Connect it. Just connect it. The wire slipped from his burned fingers. He grabbed it again, forcing his body to obey. The world was turning gray. His vision narrowed to a tunnel. But he got it. The wire clicked into place. It's done, he whispered, collapsing. Bora looked back. Juno's face was burned beyond recognition. But he was smiling. She didn't have time to cry. The fighter crashed into the hive. Bora hit the final button. For a moment, nothing happened. Then reality tore itself apart. The black hole formed at the hive's center. It was tiny, no larger than a marble. But it ate everything. The hive, the swarm. Light itself bent and disappeared into that impossible point of darkness. On New Seoul, Commander Min-ho Kang watched the sensors. The hive's signal simply stopped. Then the thousands of devourer contacts around it. Gone. All of them. In seconds. Did it work? Someone asked. Dr. Yuna Park studied the data, hardly daring to believe. The devourers in this sector are fragmenting. They're dying. Without the hive coordinating them, they can't function. All across the galaxy, the same thing happened. Devourers that had been organized and deadly became confused. They attacked each other. They fled randomly into space. Within hours, the threat was over. Humanity had won. But the victory felt hollow. 40,000 human soldiers had died in the final battle. Funho Kim, Tae-young Lee, Borahan. Names that would be remembered forever. Heroes who saved the galaxy at the cost of everything. Minho stood alone in his office, looking at their files. 3 people he'd led into battle. 3 friends who'd trusted him to make the right calls. He'd sent them to their deaths and they'd gone willingly. Was it worth it? That question haunted him. A week later, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session. Ambassador Velnar stood before the assembled representatives of 47 species. He looked older now, marked by war in ways the Council hadn't seen for thousands of years. We are here to discuss humanity's place in the galaxy, Velnar announced. 5 years ago, we warned them to stay home. They refused. We called them dangerous. We called them aggressive. We were right. But we were also wrong. He paused, letting his words settle. Humanity is dangerous. But they are dangerous to our enemies, not to us. They are aggressive, but they are aggressive in defense of all life. When we needed them, they came. When we asked for help, they gave everything. 40,000 of their soldiers died saving our worlds. The motion before us is simple. Do we grant humanity full membership in the Galactic Council? Equal voice. Equal vote. Equal status with every species here. The debate was fierce. Some species argued humanity was still too dangerous. Others pointed to the blood spilled saving them. The vote came down to a single deciding ballot. 34 species voted yes. 13 voted no. Humanity was officially part of the Galactic Council. Dr. Yuna Park was chosen as humanity's first ambassador. She stood before the council for her inaugural address, feeling the weight of billions watching her. Human and alien alike. 5 years ago, you warned us, Yuna began. You told us to stay home, to be quiet, to accept our limitations. We refused. Some call that courage. Some call it arrogance. I think it was simply human. We ignored your warning because we couldn't live in a cage, even a comfortable one. We fought your blockade because we refused to accept limits placed on us by others. And when the devourers came, when your greatest fears became real, we fought them too. Not because we had to. Not because you deserved it, but because it was right. She looked around the chamber, meeting alien eyes with human determination. You paid a price for underestimating us. You thought we were just violent children who needed to be controlled. But we're survivors. We're fighters. We're the species that looks at impossible odds and says, "Watch us try." This war cost us 40,000 lives. It cost you millions. It cost all of us innocence we'll never recover. But it taught the galaxy one lesson. Never underestimate humanity again. We earned our place here, not with words, not with promises, but with blood and sacrifice and courage. Yuna paused, her voice softening. The council's warning was ignored. Now we've made you pay, not in revenge, not in anger, but in respect. You'll never look at humans the same way again, and that's exactly what we wanted. Silence filled the chamber. Then slowly, the council representatives began to stand, one by one, species by species. A standing ovation for the human ambassador. For the species they'd tried to cage, for the warriors who'd saved them all. Back on New Seoul, Minho watched the broadcast. He thought about Junho's cocky smile, Taeyong's fierce loyalty, Bora's brilliant mind, all gone, all sacrificed for this moment. Admiral Hee-jin Choi stood beside him. Was it worth it? She asked quietly. Minho didn't answer immediately. He thought about Earth, no longer trapped in its solar system. About human colonies spreading across the stars. About young humans and aliens working together, building something new. Ask me in 50 years, he finally said, when we see what kind of galaxy we've built, what kind of future our sacrifice bought. Yejin nodded. That was fair. The price had been paid. Now they had to make it mean something. The next day, Minho visited the memorial being built on New Seoul's highest hill. 40,000 names carved in black stone. Uno Kim, Taeyong Lee, Bora Han, and so many others. A young girl approached him. She couldn't have been more than 10. Are you Commander Kang? She asked. I am. My dad died in the battle. He was on Commander Lee's ship. She pointed at one of the names. Was it worth it? Him dying? Minho knelt down so he was at her level. Your father died so you could stand here asking me that question. So you could grow up in a galaxy that knows humanity's name. Knows we're not to be dismissed or controlled. That we're equals. That we matter. So yes, I don't know, Minho admitted honestly. I won't know until you grow up and show me. Your father paid for your future. Now you have to make it worth the price. The girl thought about that, then nodded. She placed her hand on her father's name one last time and walked away. Minho stayed at the memorial until sunset, reading names and remembering faces. The galaxy had changed. Humanity had changed. The price had been paid, now they had to live with it.